Hello, I'm Sindy Davey and I'm off to see Katie at Long Lane Dairy in Peterchurch.
So I picked up milk on Saturday. I picked up 240 litres of milk, and that's to make Herefordshire Frier, which is a Halloumi style cheese, yoghurt and fresh curd. And here I am making the Halloumi style cheese that I call Herefordshire Frier, and this is all done in my shed at Long Lane Dairy, which I started back in March. So I've got about 110 litres of milk here, which I tipped in raw milk, and I took it up to just over 30 degrees, and I've added some rennet, left it for a while, just you know, less than an hour, and then I've come back to it, and here we are. We've got set curd or set milk, kind of like junket, as people would have known. I'm now cutting the curd, and with halloumi you're basically wanting to get it very fine, and I start off using this ruler stroke knife, which I'm now going to put in the sink over there, and I'm going to put my clean arm in that I've washed at the sink and literally move it around, breaking up the pieces. And initially when I started doing this, I felt I was being quite rough with the curd, but actually I'm just gently moving my arm through and letting the curds break up quite gently. And I'll go on doing this until I'm satisfied that I've got even pieces, and then I'll leave it to settle. And cut the curd, which you saw earlier, I let it settle for a while, just a few minutes, and now I put the heat back on. In fact, I put it on a bit strong. I'm going to turn it down. So it's just the gas burner that I'm controlling under there, and I'm going to take this up to 40 degrees, which in effect is scalding the curd. It's tightening it up. So at the moment it's still very soft, and it's giving off more and more whey all the time. So what I'll end up with is quite clear curds and whey, and I'll ladle off the curd. So what I've now got is the curd settled in the whey, and I've heated it up just a little bit, and I'm now going to ladle it onto the table, where I've got this draining mat and some draining plates underneath, and I'm going to be collecting the whey that comes off into these clean buckets, which will go back into the saucepan in order to make ricotta later. So I'm going to sit on this stool, so I'm afraid my back's to you, but that's the best way to do it. Now. And as I go, I just break the curd down a bit. So it's quite a slow process, and as you can see I've got the fullest saucepan possible. So, having ladled the curd onto my table, I'm now going to hand press it and hopefully have an even thickness of curd the whole way across. If this was a sort of industrial process, it would be done with probably some heavyweight machinery, but actually I think the texture of my halloumi is not so dense because it's handled much more gently. I'm just going to go the other side if I can and do the other side. So this is the most amount of curd I'll produce at any one time, and there's about 20 kilos here, and I by a little bit of mathematical calculation, knowing it's 20 kilos, know the distance, know how much curd I want here. So I've got my stainless steel ruler there, which allows me to set this where I want on my draining table, and to have the right surface area. It's always the sides where you need to be careful.
That was so interesting, and here we are with Katie's product, a handmade British halloumi.